Yes, I would make sure you see that. Make sure you see that.
That's fine.
The mic. never went on a sea trial, but Jen would have told you about the bimetallic skate and the cake. And Benjamin Franklin actually paid Alison to take a look at H3. Yeah, not just because of the engineering features that were there, so. But it's just at that time, you know, it's like, now you're doing engineering, it's just all, but you know, lots of thank you. Thanks. Yeah, make the most whilst the sun's on.
So you're trying to take a picture. फोटो देखना उसको ये करिए उसको यार comunque infatti baby squirrel
No.
Where are you standing? I'm offshore, sort of making line.
Hi.
Quotidiano tra di loro nel 1970 Riccarda coprire un ictus che lo lasciò disabile, l'occhio c'è un po' chiuso destro. La moglie?
Sì,
Lei dava il benvenuto al visitatore ufficiale, recitando come traduttrice per i dignitari stranieri e leggeva
che è quello stato tradotto.
ricordo ancora date.
What is it for though? What's the purpose? You guys feel like you learned a little bit today?
Ja gut, die haben ja gerade
Marlene!
Oh,
Marlene!
You know the whole thing of Greenwich Mean Time? It's the line, but for people who aren't kind of paid to be in this is
then they